So in this video, I'll be taking a look at another one of Logitech's G Pro series of products, and this time it's the G Pro X headsets. And these are not wireless headphones, these actually have a wire. These are actually wired headphones, and these are meant to be the pro and competitive gaming headsets from Logitech that has zero compromises. So let's take a look at how good these actually are. So first off, let's take a look at the accessories that's included. First of all, there's a couple of items such as the cabling that's included to connect these headphones to whatever devices you want to connect it to, as long as it has some kind of an audio jack included in it. So one of the cables is a Y splitter that combines the mic input as well as the audio outline, typical from a desktop motherboard PC or a sound card, into a single 3.5mm jack. And on another cable that you get to connect this headset, you get a mic mute button as well as a volume adjuster for the mic. And this cable is pretty long, so this is what you typically use on a typical gaming PC setup, I would say. Then another cable, you also get one with a mic built into the cable, as well as also a mic mute button as well. And this will be probably more useful if you're plugging it into a phone or something when you're on the go, because you don't really want to use a big microphone like this on the go because it looks kind of silly, and you might just want to use it as a regular headphone. And you can do that because this microphone is detachable and it's a separate piece that's included inside the box. You can just attach it this way onto the headset and it goes in one way and it doesn't spin around, and you could tilt it and bend it any way you want to fit your location. But yeah, that's about it, or for the actual accessories that's typical. But one of the most interesting accessories that's not typical of most headsets, especially at this price range, which is below $100, is that you get a USB DAC included. And that's pretty nice because this means that you probably get a better quality audio sound coming out of this DAC than the one that's coming out of your onboard DAC on your motherboard or even on your laptop. Because especially on laptops where everything is so cramped, you might get some kind of audible noise from the onboard DAC on your motherboard, especially because all the components are tightly packed together. And this is especially the case on my Dell XPS 13, which has lots of coil whine, which transfers straight out of the audio jack, which is super annoying if I'm using any kind of headsets or headphones on my laptop. And this thing completely eliminates that, because as long as you have a clean USB signal and USB power, this DAC will completely isolate any kind of noise that's coming from inside your PC. And that's only one of the biggest advancements of this. The other advantage of this DAC is that it probably has better drive currents than your integrated DAC, and it's also tuned to work with the Logitech G Pro X headset. So it'll be, the best possible pairing with the headset compared to just some random DAC on your motherboard. And also this DAC improves the mic input because it probably has a better mic receiver, audio receiver, than the included DAC on your PC as well. And especially because this also works with the Logitech G Hub software, which you can change the equalizer in the software, which is pretty nice because it means that you can change the audio profile to however you want without relying on some kind of built-in software in Windows. Now for the audio side of the software as well, there's also a thing called the presets that's on the left side of the panel here. And you can see that on the presets, you can actually use presets that's made by other professional gamers, which I think is pretty interesting. And you could also share your own presets to your friends and maybe fine-tune the sound levels for a particular game to have the most advantage. For example, like in CSGO, if you want to have to be able to hear footsteps, for example, while in another game you want to be able to hear the explosions and the surrounding sounds, for example, if it's more of a casual game. So you can tune it out using presets inside the software, which I think is pretty cool when you're using this DAC. So now speaking of the headphones sound quality themselves, I would say they sound pretty good, especially for this price point, and especially because this is a gaming headset and not really an audiophile headset, it still sounds really good. I would say that you can definitely enjoy listening to music on this without having to switch out to particular, music headsets or music earphones. You could just enjoy it on this headset and I would be perfectly satisfied. Granted, I'm not a super audiophile type of guy, so I don't really know what's the best sounding headsets or whatever, but to me these sound really good, and these do sound better than the Corsair HS50 that I reviewed previously, which is obvious because those are cheaper headsets, and those also do not have a USB DAC, and this really does make a difference. Because like I said, if your computer or laptop especially is making lots of noise through the aux line for your headset, this could really solve the problem by cleaning it up by using a separate USB DAC. And speaking of the microphone as well, for the sound quality, let's do a little test of it. So right now I'm just recording this sound from the Logitech G Pro X, just plugged into the DAC that's included, but without enabling any of the software enhancement in the G Hub software. Now as you can see, the sound levels are pretty good and it's not clipping or anything like that, and it does sound pretty decent already, probably about as good as you'd expect from a gaming headset. But when you turn it on, so as you can hear, the sound is changed once you turn on the Blue Voice software on the Logitech G Hub, and it is kind of just like a filter that removes all the noise in your sound and just focuses on your voice. And as you can see here, there's a bunch of different presets that you can choose, although I find that the other ones are just kind of annoyingly loud and, well, it sounds kind of weird for the AM and FM radio. And there's also presets from other, esports players that's included as well, just like for the voice. And you can just click that to change how it sounds like. So here you go. I can just show you guys how it sounds like if it's different. And this one now here too, it's slightly different, as well as this one being slightly different. But this is the default one, which is Broadcaster 1, and this is what it sounds like by default. Although I'm kind of adjusting the sound levels as well. Now compared to my actual lapel mic, the Rode Smart Lav that I'm using for my videos, of course this doesn't sound as good because this is just a dedicated microphone that costs almost as much as this headset. But for a mic built into a headset, it really is one of the best sounding microphones, and I would say that you could use it without actually having a separate mic in terms of making videos as well if you're trying to voice over your gameplay. So as you can hear, the sound is pretty decent from the microphone. It's actually probably one of the best sounding microphones I've heard from a headset, and lots of reviewers tend to agree that it does sound really good, especially for a microphone that's built into a gaming headset, which is usually not that great for most other headsets. But this does sound great, especially because it's probably because of this DAC and as well as the software that's been tuned to optimize for the particular microphone that's on this headset. So now for the build quality of the headsets themselves, you can see that it has a pretty nice finish. It has a combination of plastic and metal all around, as well as some fake leather that also feels very nice to the touch. For the ear cups themselves, you can see it's covered in this like matte plastic, which does look and feel really nice, but I hope it does not wear out. And the center part does have pieces of aluminum covers, which are machined and has a very nice finish to it. And it does feel very solid. There's no creaking sounds or anything like that, unlike some of the cheaper plasticky headphones. And for the forks themselves on the ear cups, they're made completely out of metal, and you can extend them or shorten them however you want. While the cabling is not on the fork, but on this kind of like a spring that looks like kind of an old telephone cable. And for the strap themselves, it's actually very flexible, so you can see that you can twist it however you want and they won't actually break, so that's pretty nice as well. And for the ear cups, you can choose different types of material for the foam, which in this case I'm just using the fake leather one right now, which is just because they actually do sound slightly better because they cup against your ear more tightly and it's more sealed. So you get kind of a better bass response more than anything, and you also get less sound leakage from outside of the earphones. Now you can also change the mount to the fabric types, and this will probably be better if you're trying to game for long periods of time, because this does get pretty warm over time because of probably the lack of ventilation being super tight. Well, the fabric one will probably be able to soak up a bit of your sweat as well as having better ventilation because of being breathable. So they give you a choice of which one you prefer. Overall, I think the build quality is super nice, and yeah, well, for $100, I'm super impressed by this build quality, to be honest. And yeah, I like the detachable microphone as well, because that means that you can just use this as like a headphone for everyday usage on commute, for example, without having to look like someone ridiculous with a gaming headset on the train, for example. So is the Logitech G Pro X worth it? Well, I think at $100, it's definitely still a pretty good value considering what you get out of it. including the super good build quality as well as the pretty impressive sound as well as the super impressive mic sound quality. The only other competitor that's, been well known is the HyperX Cloud 2, which costs pretty similar, but it does not have the Blue voice integration for the microphone, so it doesn't sound as good. And it also does not have a separate USB DAC that's included in the package. So that's two advantages to the Logitech. So yeah, I don't know. It's on your preference on which one you like to see in terms of design, as well as you probably have to try it on yourself to see which one fits better to your head and which sound profile you like. But considering that this includes a USB DAC and a much better microphone, I think this is a win for me, because the USB DAC just isolates any possibility of accidentally using your crappy motherboard DAC, which might ruin the sound, as well as having much better microphone, which is actually usable for voiceovers. I would say just barely. They're not as good as actual lapel mics like I'm using right now, or actual condenser mics, but these are pretty decent microphones that's included in a gaming headset. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you do enjoy it, and if you do, maybe leave a like and maybe click subscribe to see more of my future videos as well. Thanks for watching.